Hey there, Alex here, and I have an awesome video today. We're going to be talking about how to underwrite your first Airbnb. Let's get into it. Okay, so this video is for you if you're thinking about doing Airbnbs. This is going to help you out. This is pretty in-depth, but I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. This is exactly how to figure out whether a deal is going to make sense on Airbnb. First thing we need to do is pick a market. Jacksonville is a pretty cool area. Gina and I have a friend who lives there who we want to visit. So first thing I'm going to do is try and find a cheap house. Let's see where we're at. I'm just going to open up a couple, see what we're looking at. Ideally, we're going to look for something that doesn't need a lot of work. And in fact, I'm going to go one step further. A little trick here on realtor.com. You can go with a map view, which is going to help you out a lot because your location is everything and it's how you're going to find your comps on Airbnb. So let's take a look at this. We looked specifically in this area in Arlington Hills because it's pretty close to where her friend lives. Looks like I actually just opened up this one. You can see there's a lot of stuff. There are tons and tons of houses on the market. I am only looking at single families. We're going to hide pending and contingent to clear out some of the excess here. And that sure cut down a lot. All right, let's pull that up. That looks great. We've got 4 properties to look at. We're going to do a quick elimination here. If it doesn't look like it's in good shape, we're not going to do it. Okay, don't know where this is. Looks we're not buying that. And here we go. This looks pretty turnkey. Oh yeah, cute property. We could basically just go ahead and furnish this and throw it on Airbnb. Maybe they'll throw in the furniture. Then you can literally skip to step 3 and we'll just go ahead and list that thing. That looks great. Okay, here we go. All right, they've got virtual furniture. Wow, they did not do a good job at that. That looks terrible. Excuse me if you're watching this and you listed it. I don't recommend that virtual furniture. Here we go. Much better to just see the empty house. Okay, this isn't bad. Those floors kind of look like they didn't do a very good job. Looks like click lock that's been worn down. But the house is decent. You could get in and out of this pretty cheap. I'd budget like 20 for fluff and buff on this. That would probably get you there. Okay, that's not too bad. All right, so we might look at that, but we're going to start with this one because I think it's really cute and it is going to get the job done. So first thing we're going to do is just look at that location on the map so that we're pulling the right comps. And now we know where we are. Let's figure it out. Let me go ahead and close that up. And let's take a look in Jacksonville. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look for similar properties. We're going to be flexible on our dates. And we're going to have, how many people can this sleep? Let's see. We got a 3-bed, 2-bath. Let's look for 5 guests. And let's see what we get. Because it should be pretty easy to make that happen with that property. All right, perfect. This is close by, $250 a night. Let's take a look at this. Not a ton of reviews. I don't like something with only 11 reviews. That's not super promising. They have a pool, so that's also going to make them a good bit nicer. Not a great comp. We're going to skip that one. Let's see this little bit cheaper one. We got a townhouse and Superhost, 243 reviews. That is great. All right, 3-bed, 2-bath. Great comp, $150 a night, 243 reviews. This is the money. This is going to be our top comp. I don't even think we need to look further because it is in the same area. We're in this zone. Let's just really quick look. Okay, we've got another one, Superhost, 41 reviews, not bad. New listing, not going to look at that. New listing, not going to look at that. It's good to note that we have a few new competitors coming into the market. All right, now we're getting a little further afield. We've got our top 2 comps. We're good there. Now we're going to go on AirBNB. We're going to do the same thing. What we're doing here is just looking at the market data. So you can see the average person's renting for $150 a night. They're at 70% occupancy and they're making $2,000 a month. Don't forget that stuff. All right, we're going to go ahead and zoom in just a little bit, see if we can find anything else that isn't currently available. Because sometimes they may just be fully booked. Okay, so this is another one that we missed. Let's see if this is the one with the pool. It is not. Okay, now we have 3 comps. We're going to take a look at those. And what we're going to do is we're going to run them through this deal analyzer. I have some data populated right now from another project I was working on, but we are going to start over with this one. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and take our address. I'm going to go ahead and hyperlink here. And for the sake of a quick deal, let's just assume we don't negotiate at all. We're just going to pay full price. Honestly, with Airbnbs, you kind of can. As long as you believe in the cash flow, you don't need to worry very much about your purchase price. We got 1 unit. Our square footage is 1424. You got to make sure to fill this stuff in because it's going to auto-populate other areas in the spreadsheet, and it's going to affect your numbers. So make sure you do update this stuff. Lot size, you don't really need to get. It looks like this one is probably part of a community or has a very small lot. We'll just go NA, not a big deal. Lastly, let's get those property taxes, and we've got 156 a month. Let me see if I can find the real numbers. Here we go. Should be right down here at the bottom. Well, I'm scratching my head here, but we know that Realtor.com is saying it's 156 a month, so we're going to go ahead and take that. So that's going to be equals 156 times 12. Let's see if there's any other costs. Doesn't look like there's an HOA fee, so that's great. And we've auto-populated our insurance, which is great. Wi-Fi, supplies, reserve, all of that stuff is factored in. So these are going to be our monthly expenses, auto-populated based on filling all this out. Now our capital required, this is at 20 bucks a foot. If you want to make a high-end finish, I would budget 28,000. You'll probably come in under budget. I did a 5-bed, 2-bath in North Adams for about 25,000 after working with an interior designer, which basically priced up most of what I got, about 30%, just for having that kind of safety cushion and saying, oh yeah, I'm not buying furniture. Money very well spent, but if you're super confident and you have a stylistic eye, you may be able to save some money there. So with this 28K, you're gonna come in under budget. You could probably do half this. I would say 10 bucks a foot is the lowest I would consider, and I'd much rather budget a higher amount. This one really didn't need anything, so let's put in 10K as a little reserve, and that's gonna give you the capital required. What I'm gonna do here to help you out is just highlight these items orange, so you know these are fields you can edit. This is gonna give you your cash flows. We'll plug that in just a minute. So real quick, we're gonna go back to AirBNB and we're gonna start taking the daily rate and basic market data. So what we're doing here is if we don't pay to unlock the market, you can still do a ton of analysis just with what they give away. And if you get serious about a property, I highly recommend purchasing the market because they will analyze it for you. But what we're doing is taking these numbers here, average monthly revenue is 2,000. And we're gonna check the number of guests they're allowing. Okay, we got 5.2 guests, 2 bedrooms. All of this information is really important because we want to know what are we competing with. Okay, we have our comps. So what we're going to do now is actually try to find those specific comps on here. So we know we've got our Townsend home. So that one's on for $175 a night. We're going to pop that in here. And we're just going to go ahead and replace my information. This way you can come back and find your comps later and you know who you need to beat. They're allowing up to 8 guests. That's always good to know. I'm really big on the data. I think it's super important to know what it is that we're working against in order to evaluate our deal. And in terms of location, we know that's in the same location. That's great. Okay, so the potential revenue here is going to be 175 times 69% times 365 days a year. That's the most that they could possibly make annually. Okay, next one. We're going to our cozy home away from home. Never take their nightly rate here because if you can find it on AirBNB, you're gonna get better information. So what we have to do now is find that again on AirBNB. It's in this area, so we're just gonna zoom in a little bit. It's another big reason to stay in the same zone because it's gonna make it a lot easier. It's almost certainly this one. Let's just confirm. Cozy home away from home. Do these listing photos will look basically the same? Okay, maybe not. Yeah, not the same house. Okay, let's take a look. We could just find stuff directly from here because at the end of the day, all we're really looking to achieve is to figure out, okay, so we got that one. We'll just close that out. We're just looking to make sure that we take the real numbers for our comps. And let me see if I can find where this one's located. Okay, so it's just a little further east. Here we go. That's gonna get us there. There it is. Okay, we're on for 362 days. Oh, they are milking this cash cow. Love that. I love to see a full-time operator. That is a huge value for us. Okay, so we're at 168 a night, and they are sleeping 6 guests. That's plenty. 6 guests, 3 bed, 2 bath, comparable location, and then we'll do the same thing we did before. 168 times 69% times 365. So this is assuming we get basically the same rate as them, average occupancy. What kind of revenue would we expect to get? And let me see what we've got for our last one. Okay, so we actually did already find that. That's great. So let's come back to it. There we go. So they're not going full time, but we know that we've got other neighbors who are. So this is still a good comp. I think they're charging just a little bit more potentially because they're not operating during the slow season. Tough to say, but we got 6 guests, 3 bed, 2 bath. And same location, so we're at 204. So the max potential revenue they could make is going to be a little higher. This could skew the numbers a little bit, so just keep that in mind. When you see somebody not operating full-time, it is worth just taking that with a grain of salt. So if we were to take all of these and say, what's our best guess on the revenue? We'd be looking at divided by 3, divided by 12. We're at $3,800 a month. So there's a big spread between the current average monthly revenue and what the revenue we might be able to generate with this property is if we do a good job competing with the other folks in the area. Now, assuming that we do that, I've already filled in some automatic calculations with these that you can use and get a reasonably accurate estimate. And I'll walk you through these real quick. So you've got a few options for buying a property like this. One could be you buy it with hard money. This is great for folks who aren't super established in the real estate industry because a hard money lender will typically, if you just have the ability to set up an LLC, decent personal credit, and bonus points if you have decent personal income, they'll generally give you a loan. They're taking very high interest rate debt from you, so they expect that they're gonna, as long as you can talk the talk, they're gonna base it almost exclusively on your ability to make a plan and your credit score. They'll probably give you about 75, some might get up to 85%. I have somebody who's giving me 90% of the total project cost. So that's gonna be everything. That's gonna be your purchase price, your furnishing costs, your rehab costs. The furnishing, you have to tell them it's part of the rehab if you wanna get this, so it's up to you how much you wanna play that game with your lender. If you say, oh, 14Ks for furnishing, they're not gonna give you that. So just keep that in mind. So in that scenario, you might need about $72,000 to get this deal done. If you were to do an owner-occupant loan, because we're doing very low rehab, you'll see that this is going to be much better. If you tell a normal lender, hey, I'm going to live there, be careful because if you don't go live there for a little while, then you're committing fraud. But you can say, I'm going to move in after closing, and you can put down 5%. You're probably going to get a 30-year term, so I can change that for you, and your payment is going to be low. And in the case of a property like this that doesn't need a lot of work, your cash needed is a little lower too. Only $37,000. So that's a great loan if you're getting started and you're willing to actually live in the property for a few months while you personally fix it up and furnish it and then go rent somewhere else. That's a super honest and great way to do it because you did in fact move in. No problems there. If you want to play the game, be a little bit questionable with the bank, you can do it. Most banks aren't really going to have that big of a problem with it. You do need to get your mail sent there most likely, but that could be an option for you. And then lastly, like a conventional loan, you get 75 to 80% down. They're only going to give you money based on the purchase. So in that case, you'll need a little bit more money than you would with hard money and a lot more than you would need with the owner-occupant loan. And then with any of these options, based on these monthly payments, this is what I would expect you to cash flow if you get this $3,800. Now, if you only get this $2,000, this market average revenue, you are going to be a little tighter on the deal. Hard money's not going to work. Conventional and owner-occupant are going to be your only real strategies here. Now, I fully believe that you can beat this monthly revenue, but it's just something to keep in mind. There's always going to be people who outperform the market, and unless you're prepared to invest properly to be one of them, be a little more cautious here. You know, tell yourself, hey, listen, maybe I don't want to take that gamble. You might be able to hit that number, but with hard money, you have to think both. You have to establish a business, you have to prove that it's good to another bank to refi you out. Your monthly payment is higher, so it may not be worth it with a deal like this. However, one of those normal loan products with a lower interest rate and a little bit more skin in the game in the case of the conventional, or you're personally living there for a bit with the owner-occ, that's going to dramatically de-risk this for you and really help you make money on the deal. So that's how I would underwrite a deal real quick. Only 15 minutes, not too bad. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure. Go get a deal.